Gerone Wright here, and once again you're joining me on my Gerone Wright YouTube channel here on YouTube. I'm going to see if I can make this video short, sweet, and to the point. Okay, here you have an image. I guess all of you realize there is of StoneHenge. Okay, it's an earlier on image. I believe it's a black and white image. The artist is unknown, even though down here in the corner the artist's name does appear. So, and for those of you that want to Google ancient images of StoneHenge or black and white images of StoneHenge, you would probably actually be able to identify the artist of this painting, which would not be a bad idea, because identifying the artist of the painting, you can actually trace the origins of the artist, and in doing that you can find out who his mentors were, who his colleagues were, and or his or her, right, were. And also if they had a royal bloodline, a royal affiliation or a Christian affiliation, what was their religious values, and also if they attended any schools, which art schools or their schools. It gives you a bunch of informative background, which actually leads into other areas and exposing those that have this hidden knowledge as to the true origins of mankind. Now, to this date, I mean, you have all kinds of speculation about StoneHenge and what is going on and what it actually stands for. I have, such structures have multiple purposes, but for the most part, the number one cause for these structures to be in existence is to mark or record the genetic identity of the people of that location, almost like founding stones, building blocks of who mankind are. And it labels that here, say, hey, this type of people was here, this is what genetically occurred with them, and this is who they genetically became. It's a genetic identifier to who these people are, and it's a description, it's a descriptive record. Okay, now having said that, I'm going to go right into this. Notice that the artist, this is not the way we would expect for StoneHenge to look. You see that? But then and again, if it was earlier on that these blocks could have been moved around, but you just don't, you can't rationale with why this artist would do this. You have a founding stone here, and then this larger stone on top, here off to the side, that's darker, that's discolored. Then you have this stone here, like if it's going up like a stairwell, and it reminds you of the stone tablets that were supposed to have been handed to Moses. In fact, if you look close, you see indications of like inscriptions and or images that are in that slate on this stone. And there's a bunch of other things that's going on there that this shouldn't be. Then you have characters, a couple characters here standing. There's a dog, there's a guy over there sitting down, and then there's a couple back here in the background over here. The image is very unusual if you look at it, and for those of you that have been studying the idea and the concepts behind StoneHenge, then you would probably believe with me and rationale with me that on face, this image is not a true or accurate representation of StoneHenge. But then and again it is. Because see, this painting, this artist, and this painting, how this painting made it into the web of today and in circulation of these images is because this artist has captured a true idea behind the cause and the construction of StoneHenge, which is the genetic founding stones of mankind and gene altering. Let me show you. Here, for one, that's the head of a penis. There's veins in the penis, and this is a penis. You come over here, Wherever there is the indications of a penis actually, by the way, if you see a penis, vagina, this is all representation of genes. This is how mankind done it. If you go back as far as back in ancient history, this is why you see all these statues and statuettes of penises, and in religion you see everybody being nude, because the idea behind it all is the genes, the reproduction organs, which is the penis and the vagina. And then later they cleaned it up with the presence of them and them being naked, and then they just go with other innuendos and signs that'll show you. If you followed it all the way to the back, though, we get penises. And that's what this is. Now, it's always a reference of being cross-referenced with that of the ape, or the ape and African ancestor. That's what this block up here symbolizes, our ape and African ancestor. And it's the founding stones of that. Now, those implications of those genes being changed are always dealing with ancient rooted religion and ancient rooted royalty. I'll bring in a closer image here. But if you look right here, there's a cross right there. So you know what that tells me? That this stone structure right here, the clear one right here, is a representation of ancient rooted religion. I'm going to come in closer. If you come here, across here, at the top of this stone, there are ridges, small ridges, which represents ancient rooted religion, a Popo's tiara. And then at the top, right next to this figure here, which I'm telling you is a description of the ape, African ancestor right here, alongside of that guy, we have our ancient rooted royalty. And how we know that is because the image of the castle, or should I say the tower of the castle, is indicated up in the corner. Let me show you. Right there. This is the tower of a castle, and it is actually adjoined to that of an image of an ape. Down here, here, right in here is when I tell you that this is a representation of royalty, the Popo's tiara, this long building here. And there's my cross, which indicates the founding stones, the altered founding stones of religion and ancient rooted royalty, which are the two entities that actually saved their bloodlines, or actually protect their bloodlines. So it's telling you through the cross, which is that of Christianity, religion, and through the body of ancient rooted royalty, which is here at the tower, the genes of ape and Africans were changed. Now, and the stone's tablet, by the way, is that history was rewritten, altered from that of the message, I guess, of Moses, which came down supposedly in the scrolls, in the stone scroll. I mean, stone tablets. Now, there's more to this stuff, because the African and ape gene was a tough gene to crack, as I kind of say. It did not just happen overnight. They had to use a sequence of creatures to do this. And there are creatures encrypted in this image that I know and can see. But the most part of it is, if you come over here to this guy right here that's seated, you'll see the head of a serpent, eye, nose, mouth parted, and bottom chin. And people, there you have your snake's head. Now, which culture is actually into the snake? There's plenty of them, the Mayans. But since we're not dealing with Mayans here, we're dealing with Caucasians, because Caucasians or what are being depicted here. So if you go back to the days of Roman, I forget their leader. I believe it begins with I forget the name of this guy that believed in the snake gods and all of that in Rome. The Roman leader. I can't think of his name now, but it escapes me. However, but if you look here in the image, I got to come in closer. If you back here, where we at? Okay, I'm gonna bring this in a little closer because where are those Roman structures at? Oh, right here. If you look back here, where we at? The Roman arches appear in these stones back here. In fact, this entire structure in the background, which would be over here, creates the impression of the Roman Coliseum in the back, because there are no archways, to my knowledge anyway, that appear in Stonehenge. So the artist's concept of this being Stonehenge with arches and a Roman infrastructure encrypted in this image is truly amazing in itself. So there's also something else that is here, because the artist, I believe that you see, it's either THS or IH that you see on headstones and tombs. And back here, written on that stone there, is an inscription. So this is identifying, the artist is identifying that in his knowledge and what is actually being stated there. Now look at that. So if you Google this image, I'm going to put more in writing, but if you Google this image, ask yourself, what is this guy doing sitting here? Now, I've already made other connections. If you see my other videos with that of my Nervi Hall and the Fazzini sculpture where Jesus is supposed to be emerging from a nuclear a bomb. Well, I found out that it is actually discussing Jesus emerging from that of a nucleus of that of the cell structure of what other than the serpent, the reptile. And his body is emerging from what? The head of a reptile. Just as you see this guy sitting right here. Jesus is more at the Fazzini sculpture, the 1974 Fazzini sculpture shows more. My name is Gerone Wright. I'm going to end this video here because I don't want to run it out. But it's my position that the location of Stonehenge is representing a cell structure of mankind. And this artist captures reality in his painting. That's it in a nutshell, and I'm going to quit there. Of this painting, which would not be a bad idea, because identifying the artist of the painting, you can actually trace the origins of the artist, and in doing that, you can find out who his mentors were, who his colleagues were, and or his or her, right, were. Gerone Wright here, and once again, you're joining me on my Gerone Wright YouTube channel here on YouTube. I'm going to see if I can make this video short, sweet, and to the point. Okay, here you have an image. I guess all of you realize there is of Stonehenge. Okay, it's an earlier on image. It's I believe it's and exposing those that have this hidden knowledge as to the true origins of mankind. Now, to this date, I mean, you have all kinds of speculation about Stonehenge and what is going on and what it actually stands for. I have, it's a black and white image. The artist is unknown, even though down here in the corner, the artist's name does appear. So if for those of you that want to Google ancient images of Stonehenge or black and white images of Stonehenge, you will probably actually be able to identify the artist. And also if they had a royal bloodline, a royal affiliation or a Christian affiliation, what was their religious values, and also if they attended any schools, which art schools or their schools. It gives you a bunch of informative background, which actually leads into other areas.